Oh, shoot. Wait a minute. Shock therapy on the Hoover maneuver car? But I thought he was an MTS guy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hoover Maneuver channel. I'm Dean, and we're back for another install video. So a little different one on this one. As most of you know, I've been an MTS guy. Are they better than everybody else? You know what? That's to each his own. I can tell you that customer service is outstanding. I've been with MTS for many, many years, and every year they keep improving, I can tell you that. And for a company to strive to improve all the time just goes to show you there's always room for improvement, and they're not too big for the britches. Not to see that some of the other companies are, but I can appreciate when a company is always trying to better the product. Now, do they have a better tune suspension setup than Shock Therapy or Schmidty or any of those other guys? I couldn't tell you for sure because I've only had MTS. I've had stock and I have MTS, but the customer service, like I said, is just beyond anything else out there. And I've had some recent experience with another company's customer service. But what are we doing? Okay, so we're gonna put some shock therapy on the Hoover maneuver car, and we're gonna keep the MTS shock tuning on the car. Well, how does that work? Well, they have this little product at Shock Therapy called the Firminator. Yes, the Firminator can be used with other people's shock tuning out there. What is the Firminator? Well, it's the old shirt button. If you've got a Polaris car, or one of the few out there who's had a E-click car like I've had in the past, there's the old shirt button that if you're coming up to a big G out or a big drop off or so on, instead of waiting for the shocks to react whenever you're already into that situation, you see it coming up, you hit the button, and you can hold the button or just hit it once and it'll activate for 4 or 5 seconds. And what it does, it gives you full stiff on your shocks so that when you land, you're already tuned for that landing. Why am I talking funny about this? Well, because I've talked to the Can Am engineers about why don't you have an old shirt button? And Can Am with their smart shocks, they say, well, our shocks are so smart that as soon as it realizes you're in that situation, they will react and you don't need that button. Well, how are they going to react if you're already in that situation? They have speed sensors on the shocks so they know how fast they're moving and everything. But they said they can adjust like 30 times every second or whatever. That's fine and dandy, but I can tell you after having an old shirt button in the past, there's nothing that beats it. So what are we going to do? We're going to put the Firminator on the Hoover maneuver car, and we're going to run it over the top of the MTS tuned and sprung shocks that are on this car. So car is up in the air and partly taken apart, well, just some panels removed from a previous video that I did. So I'm taking advantage of that time to do this. What do we got to do? Well, it's got its own ECU, a little brain here. We got to get that mounted. That's going to go up on the hood. And then we've got to run wiring to all 4 shocks and run it back to the ECU. I don't know if there's probably a power and a ground, an accessory, whatever. There probably is. When we get to that point, we'll cross that road when we get there. Not a big deal. All right, let's get this thing set up and where I have access to everything, and we'll move on to step 1. Okay, step 1, just laid out all the parts. So we've got our Firminator ECU here, and we've got only 2 places to plug into it. Black to black, gray to gray. And on this one, we've got a pigtail that goes to our O shirt button. And then we've got accessory and ground. And then we have 4 wires coming out of here. 2 are gonna go to the front shocks because they're shorter, and 2 are gonna go to the rear shocks because they're longer. Where are we gonna put the ECU? We're gonna put it right here. We'll get it mounted up, and then we're gonna hook to our accessory and ground under the hood. So I suspect we're going to have a lot of extra wire. We'll figure out where to coil that up at. First thing to do is to get the ECU figured out how we're going to get in here mounted. So let me get that started. Okay, where are we at? So like I said, this is where I'm going to put the Firminator ECU. You guys might want to check, you got your body control module down here, and mine was not bolted down. So I added some 4 screws to bolt it down. Now the Firminator, what I've shown you so far, that's what it came with. So no mounting brackets, anything like that. So I made a aluminum L bracket go across here and mounted it to hit, so it's nice and secure. I imagine I'm going to have a lot of wire coiled up in places, probably under these panels. We'll see. Anyway, the ECU is mounted. Now I'm going to start figuring out how I'm going to route my wires. Okay, let's show you what we got so far. I got the Firminator brain right here. Let's do the easy one. Going to the switch on the steering wheel. I've just got this routed down here and going down behind the electric motor, and it will come up here, and kind of like my push to talk for the radio, I have it up here, but probably what I'll do is I'll do it as a trigger finger. That's how I had it on my last car, and I really like that. Pushed on this side, one side for push to talk, the other side for the Firminator. So that's what's going to end up happening here. Okay, now running the wires to the front shocks. There's seemingly no hole in the firewall. So I was looking through here, I'm like, okay, I'm going to punch a hole in here, but I don't want to punch a hole in there. So what I found is there is a rubber boot, and I don't know if you guys see the wires going in there. Sorry. See these wires? They're going in behind that rubber boot. There's a flashlight down there pointing up, and I'm going to show you where that comes out at the bottom here. Da, 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 da. I love this lift. I have a bad back, have bad knees, and this lift I can just adjust my work to the height I need all the time. All right, so coming out here, there's that rubber boot, and it's right up in there. So here's my wires. Well, how do you get them through there? Well, what you want to do is you want to stagger them. You don't want them all bunched up. Stagger them, and got some baling wire, wrapped it around it, taped it real good, taped over the edges so it kind of gives it a beveled edge, and just gently pulled it through while I pushed down on the top side. So we got wires around to the front. I just got to hook them up. Okay, when I said all I got to do is hook them up to the shocks, what does that really mean? Okay, so coming out of the shock, it's just a Deutsch connector. It's out of the back here, and it's just a 2-prong, 2-wire. And then we're going to hook the Firminator wires up in series. So the green one used to go to the shock. Now we're going to put in the gray one, and we're going to plug the orange one in where the green one was, which was in the shock. Pretty straightforward. And then we're just going to we're going to give it some slack and secure it to the frame here, just like the factory wiring is. Make sure it's got enough slack, but not too much slack. Okay. You know what that is? That's a busted fuel pump nut. The top's gone, broken off. Yeah, so I'm a little tired. I had a kind of a side job I had to do. My fuel pump was loose in here because the top of the nut was broke off and nothing was holding it down. So I had to do that. So anyway, it's better to find it and fix it than to, well, you know, get broke down on the dunes or something. So I showed you how I routed the front wires. I just want to show you how I routed the rear wires. So the rear leads come through here. Okay, I totally blanked out here. I didn't record hooking up the power and ground. There is an accessory power lead and a ground. There is no 12-volt constant power lead. So make sure you hook the accessory to the accessory cable under the hood and the ground to ground. You don't have to worry about 12-volt constant. I got them wrapping this way. I was going to try to run it down through there and through the center console and out, but with the plugs and everything, it was just way too tight. So what I did was I ran it through here, and it's going to come over here underneath the fuel tank and then go through the center console and go out. And then when I went out here, I wide off. So let me show you how I routed them from the back side. All right. So on this side, I just came straight out here, up and over behind the evap canister, and then I widened up there, and again, zip tied it off, and make sure you leave some slack for shock movement. So that took care of the passenger side. Let's go to the driver's side. Driver's side, sorry, trying to mess with the light here. Came up kind of left of center and went up. And the reason I went left of center is because you want to avoid the oil cooler. So after going left of center, I came across, went behind the air cleaner, and then up, and then attached to the crossbar. So that's how I did that. So, does it work? Well, we'll put it to the test. I got some rides coming up. My experience with the O shirt button in the past is that it's very handy. It works out great. So, again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking, subscribing. Went to the sand show this last weekend, and oh man, a couple dozen of you guys stopped me and said thanks and all that, and that just really helps me a lot. It really does. And I'm glad it's helping you guys. I'm not an expert. I make mistakes, but hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and learn from the things, little tricks that I have too. If you have any suggestions, please put in the comments below. But in the meantime, we'll see you on the next video.